readers. Today we are going to write an essay using text evidence from multiple texts. In third grade last year, we read one piece of text and completed an essay response. The big change is that this year, as a fourth grader, you will be reading multiple pieces of text. That could be 1, 2, or 3 pieces of text. It could be a video, it could be an article, and then you're going to complete an essay response with multiple essays. So you're just going to be building on everything that you did in third grade in order to write better, stronger essays as a fourth grader. So when writing an essay, let's remember the important parts that every essay must have. Every essay must have an opening sentence. Every essay needs to make sure that it has answered the question with text evidence as well as explaining your thinking. And finally, it's important to make sure that you close your essay so the reader knows that you have finished the assignment. It's also important before submitting any essay that you make sure that the language and words that you want to use is clear. You want to make sure that you actually answer the question that was being asked. You want to make sure that your evidence is strong and relevant. And finally, you want to double check your grammar. As a fourth grader, you should be capitalizing letters at the beginning of every sentence, as well as proper nouns. That includes people and places. And finally, don't forget punctuation, whether you should be using periods, exclamation points, or question marks at the end of each statement. And finally, we will be looking at the spelling of fourth grade words. So let's take a look at what a sample essay might look like in action using two of the individuals that we already read about in reading this year, Hannah and Alex. Take a look at this essay question. After reading about Hannah and Alex, explain how actions can have a positive impact on a community. Use evidence from both sources to support your thinking. As we said, it's important to make sure that you start every essay with an opening sentence. You can use the language directly from the question in order to help you start your opening sentence. Take a look at my opening sentence. The text about Hannah and Alex both showed how children's actions can have a positive impact on the community. I simply took the first sentence and I just reworded it into an opening sentence. Now that I have an opening sentence, I am ready to start answering my question. In order to answer my question, I need to talk about how Hannah's actions had a positive impact on the community, as well as how Alex's actions had a positive impact on the community. You need to use evidence from both sources, so it's important that I use evidence from both Hannah and Alex. You'll notice in the essay that I highlighted Hannah's name in green and Alex's name in orange, because that will help you to see and make sure that you are pulling information from both sources. So first I'm going to start talking about Hannah. In the interview with Hannah, Hannah created ladybug jars to collect money for the poor. She was inspired when she saw a homeless man and decided she wanted to have a positive impact on the community. So in that first piece of text evidence, I explained exactly what Hannah's action was and why it had a positive impact on her community. In the second example from Alex, you're going to see that I not only explained her action and how it has a positive impact, but I went on to actually quote a direct piece of evidence directly from the text, which I've underlined, which is an example of how a fifth grader might make their essay stronger that maybe you can try to do as a fourth grader this year. In the second article, we read about a girl named Alex who started a lemonade stand in her front yard to raise money for childhood cancer after finding out that she had neuroblastoma. By the time of her death in 2004, Alex raised $1 million and inspired a legacy of hope and cures for childhood cancer. So not only did I answer the question with Alex's action as well as how it helped, but I went on to actually look back at the article and find the strongest piece of text evidence to really show the impact that she had in her community. And I quoted it directly in the text by using quotation marks at the beginning and the end. And finally, to end my essay, I need to make sure that I have a closing sentence. So I'm going to go back to my opening sentence and I'm just going to reword it so that the reader knows that I'm finished with my essay. As you can see, both Hannah and Alex did great things for people in their communities, and Alex even went on to raise money to help children all over the world. Hannah and Alex's actions were extraordinary and greatly impacted by many people. All right, friends, before we know that our essay is finished, it's important to go back and make sure that you have checked to make sure that you've reread it to make sure that your essay makes sense. Did you include capital letters at the start of sentences, as well as people's names and places? And finally, double check for punctuation and spelling. Once you've reread your essay, it makes sense, you answer the question that's being asked, you have evidence from multiple pieces of text, and as well as you have an opening and a closing, your essay is complete and you may submit it. All right, readers, it is going to be your turn to think about the articles you read this week, and you are going to write your own essay, making sure that you include an opening, you answer the question with evidence, and you explain your thinking, a closing, and then before you submit, we're going to ask you to go back and reread it quietly to yourself. Make sure that your language is clear and that it's easy to understand, that you actually answer the question being asked, you've used strong evidence, and finally you've checked for capital letters, punctuation, and spelling. Off you go, readers.